We are into the final round of the US Chess Cup 2025. The leader of the tournament, Nodirbek Abdusattorov, takes fort with the white pieces. A very crucial game for him. He is on 5.5 points and he faces Praggnanandhaa, who is on 4.5 points. For Nodirbek, a draw might be sufficient for the title, but Sindarov is on 5 points. So if Sindarov wins, he would join him at the top. So it would make sense for him to continue playing ambitiously in this game, keep his chances open, and the clock has started. Praggnanandhaa arrives. It's going to be a fantastic clash between these two youngsters. In case if Praggnanandhaa manages to beat Nodirbek and Sindarov draws, then there would be a three-way tie at the top. So everything to play for both these youngsters. And Nodirbek is thinking for his first move, and he goes pawn to e4, presses his clock. Praggnanandhaa in his meditative pose, trying to figure out what should be his first move here, and he goes aggressive. He plays the Sicilian defense. Very interesting choice by Pragg, not going for his customary e4, e5. And look at Pragg there. He made his move but has not yet pressed his clock. He's adjusting all his pieces and now presses the clock. So Nodirbek, what is his move going to be? Will he go for some kind of Sicilian Alapin? Not really. He goes knight to f3. And Praggnanandhaa now can go d6, e6, knight c6, many options. He goes for e6. And Nodirbek plays the open Sicilian. It's going to be fun now. Pawn takes pawn. He takes with the knight. And Pragg brings his knight out in the center. Knight to c6. And he goes for the main line, knight to c3. Queen c7 is one of the main moves here, but Pragg goes for knight to f6. Now, there is this line takes, and e5, which is very sharp, and maybe Pragg has prepared it. So bishop f4 played here by Nodirbek. Not like particularly very popular line, but is gaining in popularity, has been played by some top players. And so Pragg now has to get into his thinking mode. He thinks for 4 minutes and plays pawn to d6. We have some players who have played this, Caruana, Jordan Van Forest, bishop b5. Now this is a move played by an Indian player named Vedant Panesar. And Nodirbek is going for it. It's a very interesting move. Pragg breaks the pin. He goes bishop d7. And now if knight takes knight, there is pawn takes. It's possible. He can also take with the bishop, by the way, but also with the pawn, hitting the bishop. He takes it. Pawn takes knight. And Nodirbek gets his bishop back to a4. It's a very weird piece of preparation by Nodirbek, giving black a super strong center. Pragg can go d5, which would be a very strong move, I guess, here. But he goes e5, which is equally interesting. Like, black doesn't seem to have any issues in the opening. But the engines do suggest that white has a small edge. Quick development, queen d3, long castle, h6 played. You can take on f6 or you can go back to h4. Nodirbek takes on f6. And this move is again one that engine recommends, but you can see that black has a strong center, bishop pair. So what exactly has white gotten in return? Perhaps white has a more free-flowing development. a5 played, and now you can put some pressure on the c6 pawn by playing queen c4. But he goes long castle here. Very interesting choice. If queen takes f2, rook f1, already there is a lot of pressure here by white on this position. So that's the reason why Pragg is not going to be tempted to take the pawn. He goes bishop e7, bringing his bishop out. And rook to f1 played by Nodirbek. So he is angling somehow to get the f4 breakthrough in, with maybe g3 and f4 coming in. Pragg decides to short castle here. And he has his play coming down the b file. g3 played here by Nodirbek. As we planned, he's going for the f4 move. And Pragg goes rook a b8. Just putting pressure here. Of course, the bishops are not doing particularly great, but if white ever breaks with f4, it will open up the position a bit. And so Nodirbek plays pawn to f4. And with this, he's trying to put some pressure down the f file, but Pragg enters with his rook b4. He wants to double down the b file, put pressure here, put pressure on the bishop. The queen goes to a6, and now the pressure on a5 pawn and c6 pawn. Both coming in. Also threats of knight d5 takes bishop d7. So a lot of things happening here. I believe Pragg can just double down the b file, but he takes on f4. And now very important for Nodirbek to play a move like a3, kicking the rook away, or queen takes a5, hitting the rook. Nodirbek has more time on the clock. He has 53 minutes, but after 20 minutes of thought, taking this pawn is a big grave error, a huge mistake, because now rook f b8 is extremely powerful. And the one thing that seems to have escaped Nodirbek's mind is that after bishop b3, a4 is extremely strong. If you take with the bishop, b2 is hanging, and knight a4 is met with rook e4 with a very big advantage, which is the reason why Nodirbek now tries to muddy the waters with e5 breakthrough. If you take on e5, rook d7 is hanging, so that's the reason why e5 is a decent idea. But Pragg now finds the best move, queen f5. He puts his queen on a great square, keeping up the pressure on b2, on c2. Nodirbek takes on d6. He's attacking the bishop. And now the bishop comes to f6. That's going to be a killer move. That's going to be absolutely killer. And Pragg does play it. It's incredible how Pragg has managed to put so much pressure on his opponent. Bishop b3 played. And now this amazing move, queen c5. And the point is, you have pressure on c3. If you defend it this way, bishop c8 traps the queen. There's no way to get back. And so he goes rook e1. But now it's time to actually take the knight on c3. Praggnanandhaa comes back. He has 29 minutes. Nodirbek down to 15 minutes on the clock. Bishop takes c3. B takes c3 taken. 23 moves have been completed. And now Pragg can take the pawn. Queen takes c3. Threats of check. Rook d4. a4 coming in. Queen d3. He's offering a queen trade. And do you trade here? Well, that would be nothing. Then white has equalized. So check. King comes up to d2. 16 minutes for Nodirbek. 23 for Pragg. Plays a beautiful move. Queen d4. Threatening rook d4. Threatening a4. How do you meet so many threats now? And this is totally winning position for black. c3 played by Nodirbek. And now you can take on f4. There are also other options here. Pragg finds the other attractive option, bishop f5. And basically he's saying, like, if you go queen e3, I'm just going to take on d6 with a check. So the queen has to move, but takes on f5. What a decision by Nodirbek. He's like, if you take here, I'll take your rook. Then I have a bishop and a rook, and I'll try to fight with this pawn. But Praggnanandhaa, after some thought, goes rook d4. And I love this move because after cd4, queen f5, you will see that the d file has been shut down by white's own pawn. King to c3, and you go back queen d7, pick up this pawn. If you go rook e7, takes here, queen d6 is fine. He goes rook e5, and it's time for Pragg to take on d6. There's a bit of time trouble that's coming in. Both players have roughly around 4 minutes on the clock, but have to make more than 9 moves to reach move 40. Pragg plays this move, king f8. He doesn't want the rooks to be traded. He wants to continue attacking. King d3 played. And now a4 somewhere could work. He goes rook d8, and very quickly rook e4 played here by Nodirbek. Pragg goes queen b4. Very sharp. a4, c5, these moves are in the air. f5 played. And Pragg pushes his pawn to a4. Bishop comes up to c4. And Pragg is down to 30 seconds, so the time pressure is real now. And this is the thing about Nodirbek. He never gives up. He fights till the end. He keeps going, giving a lot of pressure. The rook cannot really move upwards. Rook e8 is a mate. The king does feel a bit suffocated on f8. Check. Queen b1 check. He repeats, and I think a smart decision, because with every repetition he moves closer to move 40, an extra 30 minutes. Rook b8 played. And now rook comes back to e3. Nodirbek is trying to fight here, and Pragg gives a check. King comes to d3. And once again a check, and we've reached move number 40. King c3. He goes queen a1 check, and king d3. You can see Pragg's time on the clock, even after getting 30 extra minutes. He has been thinking here. He's come down to 18 minutes, and Nodirbek playing super quick. Finally coming down to 12 minutes, Pragg finds this very nice move, g6. With this, he's making square for his king to come to g7. And after f takes g6, well, Pragg's idea is that he can actually play this check, and down to 10 minutes 50 seconds. Nodirbek is trying to put some pressure. You can't take fg6 because of rook f3 check. The king is too exposed. But Pragg finds queen c1. He has calculated this. The thing about players like Praggnanandhaa is that when they invest their time, it's not for nothing. Rook b4. Beautiful move. And the point is now the c4 bishop is hanging. It doesn't have too many squares to go to. Rook e8 check. By the way, if you had taken on f7, I would go queen d1 check and pick up d4. So rook e8, king g7, and c4 is hanging. If the bishop moves, d4 hangs. So that's the reason why now Nodirbek goes for tricks. Rook g8 check. And is this trick of any particular value? No. King takes g8. Takes. And now if king f8, rook e8 check, and I queen. If you go king g7, I have rook g3 check, and then I queen. So very important now to play king h7. Brilliant move. The thing is, knight doesn't help at all because I just go king g7. So you have to make a queen. But if you make a queen, I take queen takes c4. So he makes a queen. And the point is, after queen c4, king e4, takes here, king f3, queen g4. It's a mate. King f2, rook b2. The queen and rook combo just finished the game of queen takes c4. And Nodirbek has nothing. If he goes back king d2, there is rook b2 with a mating attack. And so he resigns here. Praggnanandhaa beats Nodirbek and ties the score. Sindarov also drew his game, which means that we have a three-way tie at the top. What a game by Praggnanandhaa here. Winning on demand. Tying for the top spot in the final round. And this is a huge result. We are now in for tie breaks. The tie break rules, the arbiter comes in and explains to them that there will be a double round robin between three players in roughly around half an hour. Not an easy thing for both the players, especially Nodirbek, who was leading the tournament and lost this very key game. Also for Praggnanandhaa, who is quite tired, I believe, but it will be an interesting tiebreak to see who will come out on top. But for now, Pragg can be extremely happy. Midway through the tournament, he lost 2 crucial rounds against Maqsoodlu and Rapport, but then came back to score wins against Arjun Erigaisi and Nodirbek Abdusattorov to take home this tournament at the top spot.